Let's talk about the fight of the century. Not Batman versus Superman, but Goku versus Superman. People bring up Batman versus Superman because lots of times they fight each other, and lots of times Batman gets the upper hand, and a lot of times Goku gets dropped on and hit with a cheap shot out of nowhere, which appears to do some damage but is ultimately meaningless, as Goku, as well as Superman, do not go all out immediately. If they did, then I'm sure there would be a situation where when Batman fights Superman, Superman just blows up the solar system and Batman escapes or doesn't, but I'm sure that never happens, right? But it could happen. Superman could do it. Goku could do it. Let's talk a little bit about Superman. So the problem that I have with Superman is that he kind of does nothing till he's an adult. I'll show some examples. So he fights Zod as like either a teenager or a young adult, like, I don't know, 18, 19, 20. I never watched Smallville, but no matter what, Superman doesn't come into his own until he's an adult, and he's getting punched into a boulder, and it's like, alright, you compare that to when Goku was a child, and it's laughable, right? We have here Superman versus Kane, and he is barely keeping up with Kane. Like, Elektra has to jump in. It's really weird. I mean, if you had a run-in from The Undertaker, this would actually be impressive on Superman's part, but without it, it's kind of just shows how young adult Superman is no match for like 8-year-old Goku. 8-year-old Goku is like moving at light speed, has gone to the moon, has held his own against people who can destroy the moon. I mean, he takes a spear from Kane through a cement pillar. I mean, come on. Kane is not known for the spear. If this was Goldberg, it would be a whole nother situation. So we have Goku. He uses instant transmission to charge and fire the Kamehameha against Cell. And he's known to use instant transmission in his combat. Realistically, he's got to be a lot faster than Superman, especially when fighting. He's been fighting at way higher speeds, way more powerful opponents. Granted, you can make some kind of weird argument that they age differently. Like, think about how strong Frieza actually is. This is Goku's dad, throws a energy blast, throws everything at Frieza. Frieza's first form is unfazed, is laughing, sitting in his chair, and blows up planet Vegeta. And this is a long time before Goku meets Frieza. And Frieza obviously transforms and becomes a lot more powerful than this. And Frieza is seen doing lesser attacks and blowing up planets, so like, young adult Goku is fighting planet destroyers. Whereas Superman, it seems like he's maybe 25 before he ever like encounters Batman, or and he's getting handled by Batman at like 25. I mean, you gotta be serious here. So yeah, just Goku overall is so much faster, so much stronger. You're just not living in reality if you don't see it. People will say, oh, Goku has all these limitations, but what are they? When has he ever seen to be succumbed to limitations? Every time he's ever been defeated, he comes back stronger. Like, literally defeating him in battle isn't defeating him. He can just come back instantly. He can travel from the afterlife to anywhere he wants in an instant. He's never had the limitations. That's the whole character of him. If anything, he's exactly like Superman, but if Superman like focused more on training, was more powerful and faster. But people just, for some reason, they just have some nostalgia for Superman and they don't consider what these characters are, their experiences, who they fought, how they scale. An important part of Goku, right? Like, you could maybe come up with some argument that really old Superman, like the highest, strongest Superman in existence, the strongest version of him, could defeat like early Super Goku, early Dragon Ball Super Goku. But end of Dragon Ball Z Goku demolishes Superman. GT's Goku demolishes Superman in any form. Like, consider Super Saiyan 4 Goku for a moment. Super Saiyan 4 Goku obviously is like stronger than Ultra Instinct and whatever may come before Goku actually trains Oob. But in GT, Goku is in the time chamber training with Oob for 7 years. So there's a 7-year time skip from Goku defeating Boo to him meeting Oob. Then he goes into the time chamber with Oob and trains for 7 years. And the thing about the time chamber is 1 year, 1 day in the real world equals 1 year in the time chamber. So by the time Goku comes out, let's assume that within that 7 years there is 2 leap years that occur. We don't know for a fact that leap years exist within the Dragon Ball Earth, but let's assume that they do. Then that would equal 2,557 years that Goku is training Oob in the time chamber. That's important because think of how fast Goku in like his 20s and 30s throughout the series gets new forms, right? So it's got to be like every couple years he reaches a new level, going from a Saiyan to an Ascended Saiyan to a Super Saiyan 2 to a Super Saiyan 3 to Super Saiyan God to Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan to Ultra Instinct, right? Like, look at the ages of the other characters, especially like the child characters. And it's like, let's say every 3 years, Goku gets a new form, reaches a new level. Well, imagine he goes and focuses on training for 2,557 years, because that is what happens. Flat out, that is what happens. And he goes in training with a guy who's as powerful as Boo, who has different powers than what Goku's used to. Realistically, Goku would not only gain all these crazy forms, but he would probably gain some powers that Boo has, and also some like hybrid powers. Like, they would definitely discover new things together as they like continue to break the laws of reality. And yeah, it's weird that never gets talked about, and people just say, oh, Goku has limits and Superman doesn't. Like, Superman, if you're gonna say Goku magically has limits somehow, even though that's never come into play at any point, then Superman also definitely has limits. Like, it's just the most nonsense thing. You can't just gloss over it and say, well, technically Goku has limits, therefore he loses. What limits him? Death doesn't limit him. Any fight he's ever been in, he comes back stronger. He constantly holds back. He holds back against Beerus. He holds back against like everyone he's ever fought. He holds back against Boo. And in GT, it becomes extremely obvious that every single thing that he's doing, he's completely holding back. And think about how in Super, Beerus is afraid of him. Even Whis sometimes seems like like he's a tiny bit afraid of Goku. People are like, oh, well, Goku's not even the strongest person. He's not even as strong as Beerus yet. It's like, what? What are you talking about? Beerus is just all bark and no bite. Like, he's blatantly shown in Dragon Ball Super to be afraid of Goku. Like, have you not seen it? I assume a lot of these people just haven't watched Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super at all. Or they, like, talked to a buddy who's seen it for, like, 5 minutes. And they just got no real impression of what it even is.